Your legacy will be how you rise, not how you fell. Daniel sat alone on the bench outside the courthouse, his reputation in tatters. For 15 years, he had been a celebrated architect whose innovative designs had transformed the city skyline. Now, his name was associated with the structural failure of his most ambitious project, a community center that had partially collapsed during construction. No one had been injured, but the investigation revealed corner cutting by the construction company he had personally vouched for. He hadn't known about their compromises, but in the eyes of the public, the distinction hardly mattered. His negligence in oversight had endangered lives. The headlines were merciless. Former clients distanced themselves, and his firm lost contracts overnight. What now? His wife had asked that morning, her voice gentle but concerned. Daniel had no answer then, but as he sat watching people hurry past him, throwing curious glances his way, something crystallized within him. This moment would not be the period at the end of his story, but a comma in a longer narrative. 6 months later, Daniel stood before a room of aspiring architects at the local university. His voice steady, he detailed exactly what had gone wrong with the community center project, the oversight failures, and the painful lessons learned. I could have prevented this by implementing verification processes beyond what was standard, he explained. I trusted without verifying because it was comfortable and efficient. That comfort nearly cost lives. After the lecture, a student approached him. Why share all this? Aren't you worried about your reputation? Daniel smiled. My reputation was already damaged. I decided to use that damage to create something valuable for others. 2 years passed. Daniel founded a construction safety consultancy that specialized in independent verification. He developed new protocols that several cities eventually incorporated into their building codes. The community center was rebuilt with these protocols in place, and Daniel volunteered his time to oversee the project personally, working alongside those who had once criticized him most harshly. At the reopening ceremony, the community leaders who had once condemned him publicly acknowledged his contribution to making the new building one of the safest in the city. Your legacy is not defined by your worst moment, the mayor said, but by how you chose to rise after it. What Daniel experienced illustrates a profound spiritual truth. Our legacy is shaped not by our falls, but by how we rise from them. This principle of redemption operates across all aspects of life, transforming what seems like an ending into a powerful beginning. The journey of redemptive rising follows several distinct phases. First comes the acknowledgement phase. This requires complete honesty about what happened without minimizing or deflecting. True redemption begins with taking full responsibility, which paradoxically creates the foundation for moving forward. Next is the meaning-making phase. Rather than allowing your fall to be meaningless suffering, you actively search for the wisdom within it. What truth has been revealed? What strength is being forged? What greater purpose might this serve? Then comes the transformation phase. This is where you begin to alchemize your experience into something valuable not just for yourself, but for others. Your wound becomes a source of healing, your mistake becomes a lesson, your failure becomes expertise. Finally, there is the integration phase. Your fall and rise become fully incorporated into your identity and work. What once seemed like a devastating detour reveals itself as the main road to your most authentic contribution. This pathway works because it aligns with spiritual principles of renewal and rebirth that exist throughout nature and human experience. Just as forests regrow more vibrantly after a fire because of the nutrients released into the soil, human lives often reach their greatest potential only after significant collapse. Spiritually speaking, redemption represents the understanding that nothing is wasted in the divine economy. Every experience, especially painful ones, contains seeds of wisdom that, when properly cultivated, yield harvests of insight and value that would otherwise have been impossible. The signs that you're on the path of redemptive rising include finding purpose in your pain rather than just enduring it, developing compassion for others in similar circumstances, speaking about your fall with appropriate ownership but without shame, recognizing skills and wisdom you possess now that were absent before, using your experience to create safeguards that protect others. The journey toward making your rise your legacy requires radical honesty about your role. Distinguish between what was your responsibility and what truly wasn't, but focus primarily on your own actions rather than external factors. Extracting the wisdom. Ask yourself what this experience has taught you about yourself, others, and life that you couldn't have learned any other way. Finding the gift within the wound, consider how your experience qualifies you to help others in ways that those with unblemished paths cannot. Reimagining your purpose. Allow your fall to redirect you toward work that may be more aligned with your authentic gifts than your original path. For those witnessing someone else's attempt to rise after a fall, there is important spiritual work for you too. Practice discernment without judgment. Look for genuine transformation rather than mere image management. But remember that authentic change often happens in imperfect stages. Recognize that redemption benefits the community. When someone truly transforms after a fall, their insights and contributions often create value that wouldn't exist otherwise. Consider what their journey reveals about your own life. Sometimes watching another's redemption shows us where we need forgiveness or transformation ourselves. As for Daniel, 5 years after the collapse, he was invited to consult on major projects around the country. His name became associated not with failure but with integrity and safety innovation. The protocols he developed had prevented similar incidents in at least 7 documented cases. At a national conference where he received an industry award for his safety contributions, he began his speech with these words, "I am not here despite my greatest failure. I am here because of how it transformed me." The standing ovation that followed wasn't celebrating his fall, it was honoring his rise. Remember, in the spiritual journey of life, we will all fall. But falls are only finalities if we refuse to get up. Your greatest defeats can become the foundation for your most meaningful victories. Your darkest moments can become the backdrop against which your light shines most brightly. Your legacy will indeed be how you rise, not how you fell.